Well, hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday, right? Welcome, everybody. This is episode 2 of our Esports and Coffee chat back from winter break. Episode 2, we've got a nice topic for everybody today. Last week, or 2 weeks ago, I should say, very checking in on everybody, seeing how we're all feeling and doing. And this week, we're getting right into it. This week's topic is mostly kind of focused around DEI, male gaze, sexualization of female characters in video games. So it's going to be quite the episode, I do believe. With us, as always, me, I am AJ. We've got Danielle Sarikis right above, Jackie Lim over yonder, and then we've got Scary without the C, that way.
Caitlin.
Kaitlin. Oh, I forgot the last name. There you go. So DEI, right? It's something that us, especially within the educational space, it's always something that is really kind of at the top of our minds when we're thinking about our programming. From our perspective, from your guys' program perspectives, we're wanting to make sure that DEI just doesn't continue to be a buzzword. We actually want there to be some action behind it. We want to see people try to tackle DEI and best practices and see what they can do within their own realms, within their own programs. So quick plug, we do have some Discord discussion posts and things like that. So if you're not already in the Discord server, we definitely would love you guys to join in on the conversations. Join in on Tip Yourself Thursdays as well, because everybody should tip themselves. Okay, so our first kind of topic for tonight, we're really going to start with talking about women representation in video games. Um, as you can see, I currently have part of my Tracer outfit on. If anybody recognizes this, kudos to you. I actually probably should have preface that with like, guess who I am by what I'm wearing, but that's now that is now out of play. So I always find myself personally for women representation in video games. I find myself very torn because while I'm able to kind of wear this on stream and be able to present myself in a professional yet maybe sort of nerdy type of fashion. I also have like a Zyra cosplay, if anybody's familiar with Zyra from League of Legends. And that's not something that's probably cute enough to be seen really out in the professional world. So, really, when it comes to women representation in video games, it kind of runs the gambit. So, I want to kick it to everybody else in the group and just kind of see what they feel about the topic. And kind of see where their heads may lie. So, um, who wants to chat? Who wants to start us off?
I'll go. Just because I have an interesting dichotomy of myself in this thought process, I should say. So in my 20s, when I was going to college, I took a women's study in the media class. And I had uh, an interesting perspective that was given to me is that was challenging like the narrative of women in comic books, and how they are drawn over sexualized, and many, I guess we could say, video games are the same way. But I challenged my teacher because I am who I am, and was like, listen, this is a bunch of nerdy guys that are drawing them, so this is what they find to be the epitome of like what they find beautiful and what they support find support in women. And then she's like, they're not supporting it, they're just sexualizing it. So I have a viewpoint of some of them I think are like supporting them, and they're just nerdy, and maybe they've never seen the light of day and stuck there, and this is what they fantasize and want their quote unquote beautiful woman to be. um and I think over time, I've realized that maybe she's kind of right there, because we do have a lot of women that are really drawn to be, bouncy boobs and very scantily clad, and um, that's if young men are seeing this, very like not even young men, young boys, then this is what they think women should be and this is what they should represent. Which I kind of talked about this in the Netflix documentary that I uh, suggested we watch, and it's called, I forget what the name of it is, but essentially it's talking about how um, it's in research. Tell me in a second. So it's talking about how in the media we don't have enough women representation, and how can our world start to mimic that with DEI if we don't mimic that in our movies? If there's a bunch of uh, quote unquote cisgender men, then we're grooming young men to always think that that's what they see and that's how the world should be, not just hey, there are women, there are people of color, there are equal parts of all these people, but if the world represents that in the media, then we are grooming them at an early, very early age to continue this pattern, and media is powerful. So um, I'll pass it over to somebody else because I don't want to talk too long about it.
I'll add in there something that just kind of bugs me in general that I think this conversation can sort of go to is that the emphasis is always put on how women should look, be portrayed, be seen, dress, style themselves, and less emphasis put on the way people should behave when they see or feel something attractive. So I understand, honestly, both sides of the way female characters are kind of drawn within games and the conversation that we're happening through movies. And I don't discredit that. I think the real problem exists when something or some sort of connection is there where it is tying the attraction that one, whatever gender might have to a character into the way they're going to behave towards streamers or cosplayers or those that are representing the embodiment of that character. And I think like what Danielle was saying is that it's women are beautiful. I said this the other day in another context, but like there's a reason that there are 40 bazillion famous pieces of artwork of naked women over dating back to like the 16th century, and there's like one naked man sculpture that we know of, and no disrespect to the men out there, but it's because that's what women's bodies are, you know, they're beautiful and that's what they're made to be. A strong female character that is sexualized, I don't have a problem with. A weak female character that is sexualized, I do. But it's also continuing that conversation beyond the fact of just because someone's attractive doesn't mean you can do or say whatever you want to them, you know, and kind of making sure that that conversation goes on both sides of the yes, I'm glad you draw these young boys in art school. I'm glad you're drawing these naked women and that's what you see that you want. That doesn't mean you can go and touch them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just where I kind of am.
I think kind of just to add to that, over sexualizing women and not having any validity behind that person. That's the Netflix documentary talks about the Bechtel test, and essentially it's I'll read it so I don't say it wrong on stream, but it's a measure of representing women in film. The test asks a film feature at least films featuring at least two women talking to each other about something other than a man for whether it be 30 seconds at all. And several movies actually failed this test. I think video games, they tend to have more of a conversation, but I'd be interesting to do that same thing in video games. I don't think if it's not a lead character, because I make a female character when I play games, but I think if it's a supporting character and not a lead character, are they speaking something that actually of substance versus just being like, "Oh, he's so beautiful." Like that's it's just a very interesting test that I think that could carry over into the more of the world. And I don't think, like you said, there's anything wrong with sexualizing your own character. But it's different when somebody else is doing it. I don't know. Jackie, what do you think about this?
So I guess based off our conversation, like I completely agree. Like my opinion has always been, I have always appreciated. I don't want to say over sexualization, but like the mechanics of building a character, personalizing them. But then when it's an NPC, we're not doing that, and this person is just auto made that way. And I've never thought of that like character. I've always thought of like the main characters. It's like if you have like one, this is who you are. Like if you have two options, you're either male or female. Otherwise, if you have a wide variety, like we played Harry Potter today, didn't have very many choices. I was a little upset with that. But with Arc, like the three of us have played, and you can literally just customize your characters to be almost anything. And I think that's okay to make it however you want. I have a friend who is a D&D player, and recently, this past summer, we met her at our Renaissance Festival, and she was very over sexualized. She had a gorgeous dress on, super low cut, very high waist, and she was very comfortable to wear that. I don't think that she should be shamed to wear that because you're going to see men walking around without their shirts on or with just very little parts covered, and it has to work both ways. It's like, can he walk around like that? If she can't, is it okay for us to stare at this male and men to stare at her? I mean, I think it goes both ways. I don't think it's appropriate to stare, and I think it's great that she wanted to wear this. I loved her for it. I wish that I had the body confidence to wear that outfit. I told her that, and I asked her where she got her outfit because I wanted to wear it next. But it goes the same with game characters too. I completely agree with everything that everyone just said too. So I think before we started the stream, my opinion was a little different, but
No, you're allowed to have your opinion and feeling, and I think why I kept saying, "Hey, let's wait for stream." I think there's a huge difference in you making your character that way because that's how you feel versus there is no other option and they're half naked with barely, I'm going to say it, barely covering their nipples. Like there's a huge difference than you actively making that choice to want to be that way and I have no other option. I have to be this character. Bayonetta. Right?
I think Mortal
She's a
Kombat.
badass. Right. Mortal Kombat. They're all badass women. They're all arguably strong. If you look at Mortal Kombat, I haven't played Mortal Kombat in years, but Sonya, all those characters, really all they have is giant breasts and long legs, and that's the only fighting style they have. And hopefully they've come a longer way since then, but I have not Googled Mortal Kombat characters. In chat, tell me if there's somebody who's maybe not quote unquote what a typical sexualized woman would be. Is there anyone that doesn't look like that? I'm unsure.
Yeah, I really like the fact that over the years we have seen the ability for people to create their own characters and have so much bandwidth and room to be able to create who you want to and how you want to. Because like thinking back about Mortal Kombat, you can't go in there and change Katana. Wait, what? No, that's not Katana. Is that one of their names? Yeah,
Uh-huh.
you can't go in
Yes.
there and change her outfit like you can't go in and change Luke Cage's outfit either. So I think that the ability to personalize your characters, I think that since we've seen that become more the norm for, I would say, some video games, right? Overwatch, you can't change how anybody looks. Skins, right?
Yeah.
So I do think that like the customization and personalization of characters has really helped in that regard. I would like to see people view that as a positive change. It can be taken negative too, right? There are some people that go in there and, you know, they meme create a character and use it in poor taste. But I would like to think for the most part that that power has been used
Taken
for
away.
good.
Yeah.
The personalization power has been used for good more often than it has not been used for good, I would say.
You know what's interesting that you say that, AJ, and it got me thinking of something that I don't know anything about, but would like to do a dive into to figure out is I wonder if this kind of evolution of the VTuber movement has sort of kind of contributed to that. You can now create a character of yourself, a game character of yourself that you can use in streaming. And I wonder if that gets the same backlash or aggression as like women streamers that are of themselves get, or if that has sort of helped in that thing, like similar to what Danielle was saying and what you just kind of honed in on, is we now sort of have that opportunity for the first time ever where you can create a game like character outside of a game that exists as you in a streaming capacity. And I know it's still all relatively new, but I would be so curious as to know if that space ends up being different than like a traditional streaming space does.
I think it's had a backlash for like the IRL streamers. Just because you don't know who's behind the actual virtual person, if it's a male or female or what they look like. And so they're able to just create that. But I personally love that. Like you shouldn't have to show your face if you don't want to. And I feel bad for the IRL streamers who are using certain aspects to maybe get more streams, but hire to them. I don't do that, but they're if they want to, that's great. And I feel like the virtual streamers, they have that ability to literally create anything that they want. There was the one, I'm not gonna say her name, but she got partnered Twitch, I think a day after streaming, and then she got banned 2 days later because she was over sexualized and because of the content. But then she got brought back, and it's just kind of been a push and shove since then. So I think there is a good and positive, but I still think there's going to be a backlash for IRL streamers who are like, well, I don't have the capacity or the money to create this virtual streamer.
Well, and why I guess that takes us into streaming too, which is not where I thought we would turn adding this, but even if you look at all the top streamers, there's only like one female, if that, female identifying person, I should say. But is it, and that person arguably is kind of sexualized and feeds into the system of getting the views to sexualize themselves so they get the views. But for those that don't choose that route, they're not getting a large following. And that's not because they're not entertaining. I mean, if we put a movie star on Twitch and started playing games, I guarantee they would have some sort of large following. I mean, it would depend on who it is, and just like I'm not gonna get a following if I look like this. I'm gonna have to put on makeup. I'm gonna have to do my hair. I'm gonna have to look presentable because I can't just be my normal self.
And even when
But
you do, then that means you don't get taken seriously because you're known for your looks, and it's like a double-edged sword
right,
for
but
women.
that can stem from all of the things that the images were fed. What is beautiful and what do we find beauty? Do you find
Mhm.
beauty because you think this person's beautiful, or did you actually meet the person and find beauty in who they are as a person? But that's now we're getting philosophical. You're welcome. Thank you to come to our TED Talk.
I would watch an entire like week long of TED Talks of just Danielle. Like I would pay for that conference.
One day they want me to do one. We'll see. I got to get more comfortable in front of like an audience. I can talk in front of a camera at this point, but no. And I think I need to understand the topic, and this is interesting that I feel I didn't realize how passionately I felt about this, oddly enough, and it's a weird feeling for me because I remember vividly being in that class challenging everything and not agreeing. And with age comes wisdom, and so now I'm very much like I just aged myself, didn't I?
Oh, I'm 35. I will age myself any day. I'm proud to be 35.
I mean, I'm proud of my age. I'm just, and we don't have to talk about age in
Yeah.
industries, and um, that'll take us on a whole nother tangent. But I think that realizing this older and seeing what young boys and men see, we're not really setting women up for success. We're setting them up for failure by continuing to do these things. Um, and and putting what we find beautiful on a pedestal or over sexualizing everything. So like you don't see male characters walking around naked. Um and if you do, it's far and few between. So like it's not the norm. They can be naked, but it's not the norm, right? They're also beautiful too. Usually male characters are there's double standards, so I don't want to attack women or men for everything. I'm saying it's unfair as well. Like you have a dad bod, so because we don't find they don't put that in video games, right?
Put them on
They
TikTok.
put
They should. Mm-hmm.
well, yeah, but
That's where they
still.
are.
Oh, TikTok. I mean, it depends on your algorithm. My algorithm was taking me in weird places. So, um,
Now that we've said dad bod, I think your phone will pick it up.
is that it? Well, it is
Mhm.
right here. So,
Yep.
I
Hold
no,
on.
I've
Dad
go ahead.
bod, but with money.
Yeah. Oh,
Are we
just in case.
are we just like willing it into existence? If you say it out loud, you manifest it.
Just in case it works that way, I just want to be prepared.
JJ, I appreciate that. Yes, they are. I would have
Yeah.
to look up all both of all these characters. But here's the thing, though.
Mhm.
How if you can think of is it easier to think of 10 if you can think of 10 female lead characters in a video game, is it easier to come up with more numbers of women that are sexualized or men that are over sexualized? I think they're both hypersexualized, but I would say when I say that, not just like cover. Like if I think of Master Chief in his suit until they showed his face, like he doesn't count because he was covered in a damn suit the whole time. I'm talking about Sonya, and even the bad characters are over sexualized in Mortal Kombat. They just have multiple arms.
All right.
See, I don't know. I don't know League, my guy. Like that's
Yeah.
the hard part. That's AJ probably knows more about League.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was sitting here and like when you were bringing up the male characters that were sexualized, like my first thought immediately went to League of Legends, and like I'm trying to think of other video games like like Overwatch. I guess Hanzo could be portrayed as that. He's a buff guy. He's seen shirtless. He does the arrow dragon thing. So like, but my first thought, yes, absolutely went to League of Legends. I think that I think on both sides of the fence, there's definitely some sexualization on both parts. So yeah, League's a pretty interesting
Okay.
offender for that one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is it because I don't watch anime, so is
mm,
aside from Pokemon, but that's like 96, 97 Pokemon. Um Anime can be hypersexualized too, right? So isn't um I don't want to say League of Legends is anime because it's not, but it's like adjacent for me. Like the same character development and style when I look at them.
I
But
think
that's
anime
just
can be hypersexualized for both. Like the males, for sure.
yeah.
You have the long torsos. Everyone always has a six pack, and they've got like the very robust hair. And this is just the males. And I've definitely had anime crushes.
Is that because
Mhm.
nice guns?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that starting to seep in a lot of video games because when I talk about video games outside of our circle of esports in life, they're like, "Oh, you watch anime." I'm like, "No, I don't at all, actually." And that's because people associate it. So that's why is it starting to seep into it where it's creating like a bridge and it makes it easier because anime does it and comic books do it and movies do it.
Oh, very
I don't know.
interesting. We've definitely gone down the rabbit hole.
I think that also it plays into our women having a high standard or not standard, but can't think of the word, creates this way that we think women's bodies should be. So young girls might not always feel comfortable in their skin because they don't associate with that character. Which leads us back to the statement representation is important.
Yes.
So,
Excellent.
Amen.
Yes. So kind of our next topic for us chatting this evening, talking about diversity and well-intended efforts that need some work. So we've seen over the past few months a couple of instances of different events or tournaments or uh, networking opportunities that um, the intention is good. They're wanting to promote diversity. They're wanting to give opportunities for folks that may not feel like the current opportunities available are a good fit for them. Again, well-intended effort. I think we all agree that these efforts, of course, still need work. I think DEI, I think we can all agree, is going to be something that will always continue to need work. But wanted to chat about that. So, who wants to kick this one off?
I want to start.
Do
Just
it.
because as well intended as they are, I don't think they're well intended. Like I really don't. Who are creating these tournaments, these opportunities for only a certain group of people? And why? They haven't worked in the past, and then you are subjugating it to one specific group. And even if you have the promise of to maybe have a showcase, because that's what this one specific group decided, that they have a showcase and it's not that they're going to be in the finals, they're going to do a separate thing. Why can't they just be included in the original ask? Why do they have to be separated so much? I 100% agree that if there is a younger generation that doesn't feel comfortable playing with the opposite sex for whatever reasons, when you're in middle school, you might not like boys or you might not like girls. And so you're not ready to play with them. So I think middle school is the perfect era to have those separate and then to bring them together when they're in high school, because maturity is going to grow. But at the collegiate and pro level, I don't agree with it right now. And I was so close to Twitter to just asking, especially when we had discussed it earlier about the pay gap too. You're also paying them less for a tournament when you're trying to promote it more. I don't agree with it. I think they're going to fail. And if you want to have an all specific, just well, let's say if you want to have a specific, just all certain group, great. Create that one team and then compete with everyone. Why does it have to be the entire tournament is just one specific group?
traditional athletics, it makes sense. It 100% makes sense for traditional athletics. I swam. I do not want to swim against a male. I also.
But it's not.
But wait.
Hold on, though.
I trained with. I actually got put on a boys' soccer team as well. There is an entirely different training style between men's soccer and women's soccer. Men's soccer is far more aggressive and physical than women's soccer.
Right.
So
that's obvious, but the conversation is that they need to be treated the same.
Right.
So like,
wait, I'm getting there. I promise. I was going to say, I think it works in traditional sports.
I do not.
Esports, I having competed in both those things, I'm telling you, I don't want to swim against a male. But that's not where this conversation is going, and we can have it offward in a different conversation. But in esports, I don't think at all there needs to be a difference in gender at all, because it's the one place that it doesn't matter where your physical build or ability will be better. Because, you know, Jackie, I can run faster than you. It doesn't matter in esports, because it doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter if I run faster you, I'm more fit than you are, or any of those things, because esports is the one place that physical build doesn't matter.
I guess I don't see that that is where the conversation is going. It's not about men competing against women, and it's not about women competing against women, and it's not about women competing against men or swimming against men or playing video games against men, as much as it is the conversation being equal. So like currently in traditional sports, I do not think it works. There's only one traditional sport where men and women are paid the same no matter what they do, and it is in soccer. And it's the women's soccer team and men's soccer team split all money, and they split it equally no matter where they're competing. It doesn't mean women compete against men, but there was a huge lawsuit and a huge judgment that said any money that's made through the the EMLS, the MLS system is split no matter where the gender comes from. And there's a whole backstory behind women and men's sports on sponsorship rights, and men's sports get more sponsors than women's sports, and that's why they have larger prize pools. But I think the conversation is not about competing against each other as much as it is making the playing fields level. So like in the traditional sports aspect, your reference earlier we were talking about WNBA versus NBA is spot on. Is like the athletes in the WNBA are insane athletes. Are they going to be playing the same basketball that the NBA plays? No. But should we get to a point where those are both sports and they're competing at the highest level and they should be competing for the same thing? A WNBA player cannot always live off of a salary, while an NBA player can not only live off his salary, but pay child support for his 17,000 children. And that's not okay. Like, to me, that's not okay. And it's a matter of the playing field as a whole, and what women have to face as a whole is being treated as less than men and being participated as less than men. And to me, that ties into the point that Jackie was bringing up of these prize pools are not the same. If you really wanted to promote the equality of women in this space and you really wanted to elevate them, whether it was exclusivity or not, they should be playing for the same prize pools. They should be paying for the same money. If you are developing a women's only tournament where it's a showcase match and they're not playing for money, in the same conversation that a tournament that is going to be primarily men is playing for thousands of dollars, then it is not equal, and you're not doing good by any sense of the equality conversation. And yes, from like a physicality and scientific perspective, sure, in esports, things should be able to be equal. We should be able to see just as many women in this space as men because they do compete at the same level and they do offer the same conversation, but we don't see it. And just creating this end-all tournament at the end of a long road to where there have not been women on this road for so long, and then you're trying to create this tournament at the end where they're all going to play each other and they're all going to showcase it, that's not helpful. You have to fix the system that has a lack of women in it in order to bring them through the system, and treating them as a lower tiered person in a lower tiered tournament with lower tiered money, with lower tiered conversation is just for the showcase aspect of, look, we did something for women, I swear, here it is not helping anybody and is not helping the situation. And I think it's that put your money where your mouth is. If you're really serious about investing in women's esports and you really want to do it, then change it, then make it better, then do it, then invest in it, then let these women play for something and not just play for benefit cosmetics, no disrespect, but makeup, prize pool. The men are playing for money. So where is the money? Invest in it. I don't know. That's where a lot of my frustration comes from, is it's all performative. It's all, we're showing you that we're doing something for women, but we're not actually investing in the betterment of the space. And I do feel that way about traditional sports for the most part as well, is they're practicing just as much, they're competing competing at just as hard of a level, and the sports are treated differently, and the pay is so widely like different, and that is translating over to esports. Like we're going to make an all women pro team. Well, that doesn't help. What if they're not the best?
I think that's what I was trying to get at, and I just kind of got derailed there. Not by you, but in my own mind, in my own ADD. Because I'm gonna comment on what was put in chat. First of all, in my humble opinion, we shouldn't be paying sports people this much money. I don't agree with this. I know they entertain us, but we can do this again. What about the people that heal us? And what about the people? How about the people that teach our children need to be paid more? And we could do this all day. But I don't tend to go to sporting events unless it's like a half off ticket or $10 ticket. I'm not watching sports anymore. Sometimes I'll play fantasy football. I'm not actually watching it. I just follow it on and know statistics, and that's what actually is the strength and understanding. But you don't have to. It's not working right now for men and women in traditional sports where the pay gap is evening out. Why are we going to perpetuate that cycle and bring it into esports when it doesn't even need to be there? That's what I think I was trying to get at, and I just didn't get there because I also am
I have a question. What would you change? And I just want to like
what was sports or
no
esports?
with the esports tournaments, especially the ones that are coming up with. They're specific for a certain group of individuals only. You can only be this gender, or you can only have these genders on your. You can only have females on your team for this tournament.
I don't really know if I don't know. This is a hard thing because even that documentary, I'm going to go back to it, talks about how the representation even in little kid cartoons is a lot of men. So we're almost grooming men to not think, and I think I said this, to not think that the world is diverse and they only see representation of white men. So when DEI happens, they're like, well, why are we doing a diversity hire? It shouldn't be this way. They're getting the job because it's a diversity hire, not that it's, I don't know the figures, but let's just say 50-50 men and women for just numbers. So if it's 50% men and women in the world, shouldn't your workforce represent 50% men and 50% women, even at the managerial level? Because that many women are also educated, you just don't see them. So shouldn't video games represent that? Shouldn't we support women, young little girls in this space? If they're being attacked by men all the time, they're leaving the space. We are not, you don't like to put on your comms when you're in a lobby by yourself. You made it this far because of your pure strength and drive to play the game. What about the little girl that doesn't want to put up with that bullshit? So they leave. So they're not supported. But I think you perpetuate that by segregating them and not putting them together and learning how to, I almost said the F-bomb, interact. I want to insert F-bomb, effing interact. It just drive my point home. I'm gonna back it down. Sarah's turn.
I think. Well, I'm not Sarah. Do you have something?
No, you can go, AJ. It's your turn.
Yeah, AJ, you go.
I'm the leader.
Well,
AJ, go.
like when I'm trying to think of okay, what is it that again, we're wanting to do better. We don't want to just have DEI continue to be a buzzword. We want to do something. And I think probably the best place to be able to start to making impactful change, and I'm hoping that we're going to be able to see this more as time goes on, because the collegiate space, even at this point in time, is still growing. It's still changing. It feels like every 5 minutes something new is changing. But I think we're only going to be able to see change in change for the better if we're able to bring that down to the middle school level, if we're able to bring that down to the elementary school level, and be able to have these teachers or these coaches be able to bring these young kids together and be able to teach them, right out of the gate, what is good in-game etiquette, what's good etiquette with your teammates. I think about how I'm going to throw way back. One of the first sports that my parents ever put me in was t-ball, and it was co-ed because we're all like this tall and we all don't know what we're doing, right? But even that experience of being on a co-ed team when I was that young, I was learning teamwork. I was learning how to respect my teammates. I was learning communication, critical thinking. And I think that we're only going to be able to see some significant changes with more female identifying athletes coming into high school programs, collegiate programs. I only think that we're going to be able to give them a safe space if the generation that is being brought up with them also is brought up in that safe space mentality. So, unfortunately, like, high school, sure, I would say high school is probably a few years behind collegiate right now. I'd say middle school is even a few years behind high school, so we may not be able to see like some actual changes for a couple of years. Um, but I'm hoping that that's what I envision as like, what can we do? It's not a fix now problem. It's not something we can snap our fingers and grow these kids by 10 years, right? But that's kind of where I would actually start.
I mean, what, can I ask
Yep,
a
go for it.
side question? Just for chat and everyone, what would people think if we had a competition that said no cisgender white males can be in? What would happen then?
But isn't that the same as what is being asked in the current?
I don't disagree. I'm just curious because I don't know how you would
Just
phrase
wording
that
it
without
differently? Sure. Okay.
how I don't know how you would, like, you couldn't make a tournament like that without offending the whole world. Especially if you were like there's no white men allowed. Because they seem to be probably the loudest voices. But I'm just curious, like, how would that go over? Like, would they say like it'd go over like a fart in church? I don't know. That's probably inappropriate, but
So in an interview, and we've all been in these interviews, where is esports in 3 to 5 years?
oh, jeez.
I mean, esports literally changes on a weekly basis, it feels like. It's not even months anymore. A league tournament can spend an entire year reworking their entire league that they produce for the next season. And then a week after registration closes, like, we're scrapping this and we're doing something different. And you just have to adapt. You have 3 days to adapt to this. So I feel like when people ask that question, it's just horrible. But AJ, I liked what you said with the middle school era and possibly high school. We're not going to get there right now, and we have to change it with them to get to that 5-year point.
But Andy, it only makes money because nobody else is having the opportunity on these teams. But it doesn't matter. Like, how do you know if I just never talked and always played whatever game it is, let's say COD, and never spoke in chat and just got better than everybody else and got to the level that I could be in CDL, they wouldn't, like, it would make money too. You're not better than me because you're a man. Like, that's the video games isn't a thing. Like, it's literally, I'm better than a lot of people I know in video games. I'm not better than COD than Jackie. Just putting it out there. Jackie's goated.
No, it's Warzone. It's not COD. There's a difference.
Oh yeah, I'm better in multiplayer, aren't I? I am. And you're better in Warzone.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll just say, I guess, my situation, I agree with everybody in going back. And I love the middle school conversation because I do think that's such a transitional time. The big thing that always stands out to me and I don't know if this was like this for everybody, but like my entire life, I got told why I can't dress a certain way since I was in elementary school. Here's the dress code for women. Where's the dress code for men? Here's the things that women can't wear. There's nothing that relates to men. We were raised and taught, and I think it still exists to this day, that we have to alter ourselves so that we do not cause a distraction, cause a ruckus, cause an uproar, cause any sort of, ruffle any feathers. That same context is not provided to, hi, young boys and men. When you see a girl in a tank top, it's not offending you. Just let her wear the tank top. It's really not a big deal. And so to me, real change, which we're talking about in chat, and I agree with everything that everybody in here has said, is it's bigger, and to me it's both sides. It's untraining society to put the pressure of everyone's behavior on women, and then it is retraining society on how to approach things in an equal aspect. So like empowering women is one thing and so important, and it's something that I know that we strive to do. Educating men is another thing, and it's something that does not happen enough of. And breaking down the constructs that have been put before us since we were in kindergarten is something that also really needs to happen. And I think it relates to everything that we're saying, and every group that's really trying to enter into this space is it requires a commitment and a full industry buy-in to really make solid progress in this space. Because yes, of course, more people are watching men in both traditional sports and esports. And to think that there's not a reason for that is completely disregarding what women have had to go through. The reason that there are not women on the top earning streamers list that Danielle was talking about earlier, the reason that there's not enough Black NFL coaches, as we talk about a lot, if 70% of NFL players are Black and people of color, why are there not more coaches that are? They're the most experienced in this space. And it's because they've had an uphill battle. And that's the thing that I think a lot of folks don't understand, is that all marginalized genders, all marginalized races, and all marginalized communities have a different experience than those that are given either preferential treatment, or honestly those that have been privileged to not have to deal with it. If you start playing video games at 9 years old and no one has ever yelled at you or given you a hard time or made fun of you for being a girl or made fun of you for being a person of color or the way your voice sounds or anything along those lines, then all you've had to focus on your entire time is your streaming, your gameplay, your communication, everything that you get along with. I wish that the world had a little bit of what, even like a sliver of what Danielle has in her, to power through and to keep going through and to stand up for everybody and to be strong. But the truth be told, we're all very different and we don't have that. And the uphill battle that people of color face, that marginalized genders face, that your traditional cisgendered white men do not face, makes this landscape unequal across the board, from who's going to get the sponsorships, where those purses and the prize money is going to come from for tournaments, and how many people there are in the space. So trying to activate at the collegiate level to say, okay, where's all the women Valorant players? Come on out at 19, when these people have probably been playing video games since they were 10 and have never had an equal playing time and have never had the same levels of opportunity that have been presented to men. When that is brought to the surface, that means you can't just start at we having a tournament, it's in 2 weeks, come on, find your girlfriends and join. Oh, they're not here, that's because girls don't play video games. By the end, it's a systemic problem that needs buy-in from everybody who is invested in this industry and all industries in order to really make progress and to make change, because we do have to start at the level where folks are impressionable still, and the level where they've been taught their whole times to be careful. There's this video that I love watching that I'll share in our Discord. So if you really want to see it later, you really got to join our Discord. But it's it's like this PE coach who is essentially saying, okay, we're going to do a race, and first person to cross the finish line gets $100, and he holds up $100. And then he's like, but first, everybody stand in a line, and I'm going to ask you certain questions. And if you can answer yes to those questions, take a big step forward. And the questions were things like, raise your hand if you're not or take a step forward if you're not the first person to go to college in your family. Take a step forward if your parents are still married. Take a step forward if you don't have to have a job. Take a step forward if you know you can go to college no matter if you get a scholarship or not. Take a step forward if you've never had to wonder where your meals were going to come from. And it keeps doing that. And the guy stops and says, cool, great. Now look around. And there's people that are, good 20, 30 feet in front of everybody else, and they're going to win. Is it because they're the best? No. Is it because they're the fastest? No. It's because they've had a different life that's leading them to the point where they are about to race. And those are things that we don't take into consideration. And I do think in gaming and esports, it's one, there's accessibility to gear, there's accessibility to new games as they come out and when they come out, there's accessibility to just any sort of communication tools, being able to play with your friends. And there's the conversation of everything that we've been through. So starting at the adult side of things and saying, catch up, everybody, is not taking into account what everybody has battled getting to this point. And fixing that, we all have to agree to work together.
I want to
And
just
yeah, sorry, go
add
ahead.
two things. No, mic drop, because that was fucking amazing. I'm gonna swear on stream because I can't.
She read my mind. She read my
literally,
mind when I was gonna say all of us are different.
But I think it also comes with individuals not thinking they're good enough, not thinking that they can apply. We have top 100 collegiate schools, so you should only apply to these top 100. I'm pretty sure my school's like listed 64 below LTU, and I'm pretty sure Full Sail are above us. So you guys are amazing.
Let's go.
But
You
the fact
matter
that-
though.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that students are getting the impression that you have to be amazing at video games to be in collegiate esports. My program, you do not have to. I love all my students, and we really try to help any student that comes in that wants to participate. We can't help everyone, unfortunately, but we also offer clubs. And as long as you're applying, and I think that relates to jobs too, like with the NFL, maybe people aren't applying because they don't fit all the boxes. These are what is required to apply. That's not true. When you speak to any professional senior recruiter, they're going to be, you don't have to actually meet all of these. If you are connected in some way and you can reach out, we'll take your application and we will consider you. And I think our generation specifically are, I don't fit all of these. I shouldn't even apply. I'm not going to apply. It's just not going to work. It's like, that's not the way it is. Apply. Put yourself out there. It doesn't matter if you don't get an interview or not. You're applying and you're giving yourself the opportunity. And who knows, you might be accepted to a college or a career. And it's just, we have to empower our peers and the younger generation to just put themselves out there and to also assist them in a way that they can help them with their CVs and their resumes or just their general applications.
Solid work. Yeah, I was just gonna say, just what Sarah was saying. She really read my mind in the moment. It was really weird. Is that I was gonna say is, even all five of us, our likeness is that we are women. We are very different. We have similarities. We have similar. Some of us have similar work styles. Some of us don't. We have different strengths. They know my strength and tell me to go talk everywhere. Sari can write an amazing. She's my PR person. You know, Jackie knows everything about esports under the sun, and she was my mentor, whether she wants to admit that now or not. And AJ is the GOAT of the original people. I mean, I don't know who is in this space longer. This is not a competition between Sari and AJ, but Sari is quiet in the shadows, and so is AJ. So I don't really know
Not
the
anymore.
timeline.
Sarah, this past year, even.
I was gonna say Sari
not
definitely has
them.
been in there longer. Definitely been in there longer.
Sarah's just like,
And
I'm coming.
I find it so funny that you mentioned that, because like I remember when first getting into collegiate esports and first getting my job and like getting connected with folks. I I know that you've said this before, Sari, and I am sorry that this is like what I saw looking in, but like fresh first month into collegiate esports, I was like, oh yeah, Bennett runs Full Sail. Like I had to because I was like, oh wow, they've got a really cool facility. I'm like from Florida, so when I actually went in and started doing my research for Full Sail, I was like, oh wait a minute. I was like, I I'm completely wrong. And at that point in time, I reached out to Sari and I'm like, hey, how about you sit on one of these panels, or hey, how about you come do things over here? And I feel like and I just feel like there's been a lot of like we said, we were all different. I think me and Sari both are definitely more on the quiet side. I think we can both admit that.
I mean, you
I'm
definitely
quiet.
said, my favorite is you were like, why don't you sit on this panel? I go, oh, Bennett should. And you're like, no, you should.
You should.
You. And I was like, oh, Bennett does all that. I
I'm
don't.
inviting you.
I was like, oh, so I don't even know that I would be even. I think I credit all of my I mean, I will always yell about women, but as far as surviving in the esports space, I owe all of my comfort to you and those nudges, because it. And I want to make sure it's clear, I would never talk shit on Bennett. Bennett is our biggest supporter and love him, and he's the best, and he is my comrade and everything there is. But like, he's the guy, and I just never felt comfortable being in front of anything or anyone. I like to do the work behind the scenes, and I still mostly enjoy that part. But back to what Danielle was saying earlier, hi Camden, is, representation does matter, and people being able to see me from behind the scenes of what I do is important in regards to, can they see themselves here one day? And so now I am putting myself out there more, but it's not comfortable.
Effing go, Sari. I said it. I didn't say the full F word.
Okay.
Hello. Fuck.
I know. Oh, pew pew pew. I just like, it's crazy to me because I want to share my thought on when I originally entered this space. So I really wasn't a PC gamer. I was a console gamer, and I thought I couldn't do this job because I didn't own a PC. You know why I didn't own a PC is because we didn't have enough money to buy a PC. I had enough money to buy consoles. So like she said, it's not accessible to everybody. It's not even made available to everyone. And if you think the playing field is even, you really just need to have conversations with other people, because it's not. And I am super outgoing. I really am, but I had an entire crazy childhood and growing up in different, would not change. It made me who I am and made me hyper successful, but we didn't, all of us didn't grow up the same. All of us did not have accessibilities. All of us did not have the, you should go to college path. You should go this path. Some of us had to work, some of us didn't have to work. I don't, just be mindful of those things and maybe support each other. I tweeted today because that's how I felt when I woke up. It was literally not prompted by anything other than having a conversation with my cousin, and kindness is free, right?
I liked your tweet today.
Thanks. I
retweeted it.
appreciate it. I really, there was no intention other than I get to play Harry Potter today, and I did make a typo, and it did piss me off a little bit, but Sari liked it, and I was like, shit, she already liked it, so I can't fix it. But I missed the word "of" in there or something like that, and I'm like, well, you just read through it, and maybe.
Where is the edit button, Twitter?
You gotta pay for it. It's behind a paywall. Thank you, Elon.
Wait, you can really get it if you pay for it?
Yeah, Twitter Blue now.
There's there's some betas for it too.
Oh, Sari's like, son of a bitch, I'm about to pay for
No,
Twitter.
now what I want to do is I want to look at all the people that pay for Twitter and find their typos and be like, you have the ability to fix it. What is wrong with you?
It's only up to like 10 minutes though. Like it's not like
either way. But like, you can actually tell who pays for it too, because it'll say they pay for it in a like, not I paid for this. It'll say purchased or something, and then some of the people, like if you go, for instance, let's say Docs, it'll say it's a legacy blue check mark, whatever, Twitter verified, and then you can tell if they paid. But yeah, like, how about we just start supporting each other and not tearing each other down, and maybe somebody got the job because they're just fucking qualified. I said the F-bomb. Maybe that's it.
I think we all get one per stream. I think that's fair.
I think I had like I had 1.75, right? Like I said.
It's like a couple of quarters.
Yeah, I think Danielle, you might have used yours for the year.
Is that it? I don't get,
Yeah.
don't get any more. I've
Oh,
been playing
man.
Harry Potter all day. I've been really stuck, and Jackie and I have been talking not about anything in deep value, just other than Harry Potter and how great the game was, and supporting the devs and all that stuff, and blah blah blah. But so maybe I'm just riled up today. I don't know. I haven't eaten yet. Maybe that's it. Am I hangry?
Oh, girl.
Maybe I'm just passionate. I don't know
Yeah.
how I became passionate about DEI. Here we are in 2023.
We talked about it right
Alright.
before. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
right
you-
before we hopped on stream.
Well, and I think that I really want to stress that everybody needs to watch that Netflix documentary. I think it'll change your perspective. One thing I think we're almost out of time. So let me say one thing about this documentary, and it's an interesting take. The whole damn documentary is an interesting take, but silent films had more female directors than any male directors. And then it switched and they made the like a quote unquote boys club, and now there's very minimal women directors. So did they lose their talent? No. But they're not getting the opportunities. It's not because they're not talented enough. In fact, studies are showing that they're making more money. But why would somebody give a diverse person an opportunity? And I don't want to say that only women, because the study was only men and women, so I can't tell if it's black men or uh any person of color, right? I just know women and men. Why would anyone give up a script or an opportunity like an agent to a woman? Because the pay gap is less, so they're going to make more by selling it to that person instead of that. So anyway, watch it. It's interesting. I hope one day somebody does it on video games. I think we're like 30 years out from a Netflix documentary by the time that happens, where we can't hear or see by that time anyway. So, or are we going to watch it?
We're all gonna be in the same home. We're all gonna be in the same like community neighborhood where
Oh,
we
I
can
want to.
drive on our
I
golf
wanna be-
carts.
Can we be
Yes,
80?
please.
I haven't seen 80 for Brady, but I imagine that's us. I haven't even seen it yet. That's us when we get older.
I
All
love it.
5 of us.
I love
80
it.
for Brady.
Okay.
I think
Wrap it up.
Sarah's Jane Fonda though.
Wrap it up. So we have a new schedule. We're gonna be streaming every other week.
Wrap it up.
You can follow us on Twitter. We're esports_coffee. Obviously, we have our Discord that was posted a couple times, and then Twitch. You're here. Please just give us a follow. Turn that little bell icon on when you wanna come watch us. Our next one. Our schedule might change, but what we have posted right now, we're going to be talking about all women's rosters, the potentials, benefits, and logistics. We hit on that a little bit today, but I think we can really deep dive on the 21st as our opinions will grow. But also, I just want to say we have a new campaign. We're doing better. We are striving this year to do better, just in general. We're talking about a problem, and talking about a problem is easy, but change and progress come from action. This is all Sari, by the way. I love her typing. At Esports and Coffee, we're focused on looking ahead and making the industry a better, safer place for those coming behind us. Action requires commitment, and commitment requires to doing better. Will you join us? Just make sure to follow us. Hey, we got this.
Hey, the chat is asking how they can get one of these cool shirts to promote doing better.
Tell us.
Tell us more.
You join our Discord, and the link's in there.
Mm-hmm. Join the Discord. There's even stickers and fanny packs. I have it all.
Mm-hmm. I just ordered mine too. And
I
how
just-
does it feel? Honestly, does it feel good? Is it the same quality as your other
It
one?
is. It's a very good quality. I really enjoy it. Sometimes heathered shirts are a little thinner than like the non-heathered, and I do not find that with this brand. So I'm very happy with it. It's very comfortable. I feel comfortable while I am taking down the patriarchy. So there's nothing that you need more than a nice soft shirt when fighting for equal rights.
let's also add the money is going to support our cause. It's not going to for us to profit from. That we have
Yes.
no go ahead,
Esports on
Sarah.
the road.
I will add, we are in the process of filing for our 501c3 so that we can use all of this money to both support our mission and help other women and marginalized voices who are trying to do the same.
Our
If
jobs
you-
support us, not your money. Unless you want to make us so rich and so we can all retire and from esports industry and then focus on this as a job, I will accept
We do
that.
have a donation button below. We are connected, and we are taking applications for our roundtables. We'll have a form up soon for that. But we had so much fun at the last one that we did ourselves.
FOMO.
That we want to host more of those. So you're gonna see us popping up. Sarah's just up Boston for CDL with Full Sail and her amazing student who is on the CDL. That was awesome. But
Very cool.
make sure to reach out to us. We're on LinkedIn too. We just appreciate the support.
Awesome.
I just want to say one last thing about Do Better. I think it's for not just, it's obviously our mission is marginalized voices, but it's for everybody. Everybody can do better collectively. And how about maybe just think about the next time you're going to tweet something negative and maybe just like walk away from your phone for 5 minutes and then decide if that would still be an appropriate tweet.
That's your homework,
I like that.
everybody. That's your homework.
Walk away for 5 minutes.
I mean, I would say like 10, but I think 5 minutes is a good amount of time for you to take a breath.
Is that everyone?
All right, ladies. Are we all out of coffee?
We
We're
are.
all out of coffee.
Oh,
We're
I
at a
don't have any
different
more
kind
We
of
are
coffee.
all out of
so-
coffee. Good night, everybody. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Thank you.